I would like to take you back to a time when I was 4 years old. My brother and I were playing at home, younger brother Bill. My mom had just come home. My mom's mad. Now, when my mom is mad and yelling, you know things are going to be okay. You'll have a few bumps, a few bruises. You might get hit, causing those bumps and bruises. Have to go to the doctor and get a stitch or two. But you would survive. You would be okay. Now, when my mom was quiet, this was a completely different thing. Today, my mom is very, very quiet. She comes in the house and she sits down on the couch. Take off your clothes. What did we do? Mom, what did we do? She sat there just quietly looking at us as my brother and I stripped. Get the knife. By this time, my brother and I were completely naked. I reached into the kitchen drawer and I pulled out the knife we had. One of those 8, 9-inch long butcher knives. As I'm walking from the kitchen, I remember pushing my little brother back, and I'm walking up to my mom. And I hand her the knife. She put it right here. She said the words that she would tell me the rest of my life. The world would be better off without you. I don't remember the rest of that afternoon, or the many other times scenes similar to this played out in my childhood. And I am not telling you this for pity. It was my life. And I hope nothing, I pray to God nothing like this has ever happened in your life that traumatic. But regardless, we've all had something that we've had to overcome, something that we've had to work through. What I'd like to share with you today are 2 of the tactics that I used to move beyond that, to move beyond what I grew up with. The first of those is spite. Now, who here has ever had that, somebody tell them, you can't do that, you can't take that class, you can't get that job. But you told yourself, you know what, I'm going to show them, and you went off and did it. That, my friends, is spite. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a bad word. We can use that. It was the fire. See, back then that spite gave me what I needed. And my goal back then was to just live one more day. That's all I wanted to do. If I could live one more day, survive one more day, I could figure out the next day what I needed to do. And this served me well for many years. But you see, at 16, I walked out of my house. And I've been on my own ever since. And at that point, spite started to run its course. I was away from her. I spent the next several years more drunk than sober. And the reason for that, 90% of those who grow up in a house like I did, we end up with some kind of issue, whether it's a mental disease, anxiety, depression, PTSD. And to combat that, we turn to drugs, alcohol, sex, anything to numb the pain. And that's exactly what I did. I was no better. Like I said, I spent the next several years more drunk than sober. My wake-up call finally came at a point when the lady I was running around with said, guess what? You're going to be a dad. Now, I don't know many of you, or when you first heard that you're going to be a parent, that should be a celebration. For me, I was terrified. I looked at her and said, what the hell am I going to do? I'm a flippin' drunk. I can barely afford to support myself. I'm sleeping in my car. I go to the gym to take a shower. What am I going to do? This led me to my second tactic that we had. Now, how many of you have all had to face something where you thought it was impossible at the time? That's what I felt like. I had no education, no prospects. Let me tell you something else about my mom. She never graduated high school, let alone go to college. Nobody I knew in my family, or anybody I knew, my friends or their parents, had ever gone to college. That was just not something that my family did. We worked in warehouses or at gas stations. But I looked at the girl I was going with, or running around with at the time, and I said, you know what? I want to give my daughter the things I never had. The true love and affection of a parent. So, off to college I went. But what I had to do was to be brutally honest. What I realized then, if I was on the path that I was on, I was going to let her win. She would reach out from way back then and keep me pulled in, and I was not going to let that happen. But to beat that, I had to be honest with myself. What am I doing? I was a drunk. I had to pull myself out of it. And that's what you have to do too. If you have something in your life like you've heard about, you've got to be intentional and be honest with yourself. Because the easiest person to lie to are ourselves. Think about this. You sit there and you say, you know what? I want to lose a little weight. But I'll start that tomorrow. Tonight, I'm going to have that extra dish of ice cream because I'm getting ready. And I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to go run. Snooze. Oh, 5 more minutes. Roll over in bed. I'll do it after work. And if it's so easy to lie to ourselves about the little things, think about the big things. Those of us who have children, they might want you to play ball with them when they come home or have a tea party. And you're like, when I get home tonight, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to spend all my time with you. But you get home from work and you're tired from the day and you're like, please, just not tonight. I just need to relax. We'll do it this weekend. The weekend comes and you still don't do it. You've got to be honest with yourself, people. Think of what you really want, why you want that. Be intentional and be brutally honest in going forward. You can't just say you want something and then not work to do it. You've got to be honest and go forward. If you need spite to get you started, great. Use that fire, harness it. But be honest with yourself. Go forward and do what you want to do. But you can't lie to yourself about it. If you want that job or the promotion or do something else, you've got to be honest. And then when you're going about doing it, you've got to be honest in tracking it. And I'll tell you, if you do that, you'll accomplish more than you will ever have dreamed. You know, as I said earlier, nobody in my family had ever gone to college. I put myself through there. 2 jobs, 4 years, 2 degrees. And as you've heard, eventually law school. So I've done pretty well. And it's been those 2 things that have really, really helped me. And if you use them in your life, I know they can help you. Again, if it's spite, embrace it. Use that fire to get started. But determine what you want. Be intentional about it. Be honest and go forward and do it. And if you do that, you can do anything that you want in your life. Thank you.